Hi, Living Guardians, Unseen Inquisitor here, and this is a strike showcase. This is the Arms Dealer strike updated from Lightfall. It is Hero Nightfall level because it's the Guardian Games competitive playlist version of it. So I will be going over both the changes as well as just commentate on the gameplay and my mediocreness of it during this whole thing. So pull up a chair, hang out, and share your thoughts as well. So right off the bat, we have allied cabal in our midst. This is because the whole narrative for the strike has changed. No more KCX, unfortunately, on comms. This is updated not just in what we're facing, but also in the story of it. So this actually takes into account the original strike. Devrim and Keitel are on comms, and the idea here is that we dealt with the original Brachiosaurus, but the Shadow Legion moved in, and one of the Cabal took up the mantle of Brachiosaurus because in Cabal culture, names hold power. So Keitel's forces moved in to try and deal with this, but were overwhelmed by the show of strength of the enemy. So we're here to back them up, and they in turn back us up as we deal with Brachiosaurus. So that's why we have allied Cabal here, and I like that. I like it. It's not just updating the strike to make it more difficult, whatever, but it's like a continuation of the story of this area. So one of the things you're going to notice in every major outside engagement is a Thresher. Threshers are beefier feeling than they used to in the strike, and they're quite annoying, but they're here nonetheless. Definitely worthwhile to focus fire and take them down, just so you don't have to deal with the constant barrage from them. Anyways, the other big change here is that we're not going through those barriers over there. That tunnel we're not going through. We're taking the Cabal launcher over there. We're going to go to some landing pads. Those are the landing pads we use in the Red War to steal a ship to board the Almighty, as well as the landing pad that we went to eventually to get the start of the Glycon exotic mission for Dead Man's Tale back in, that season. Anyways, so a little bit of a detour to get where we would have been. So it takes a little bit longer, which is fine. It's just cool and different. So I take a little detour here as well. I don't take the normal intended path. Instead, I go up by these Scion snipers to take care of them because might as well deal with the snipers. And that's the path intended, that walkway and everything down there. So we're gonna kill everything in this area and then take the launcher once it becomes active to go to the main area where we would have been in the original strike already. We're now finally getting there. Here we still have to get a solar cell because we didn't bring one with us. There was none to bring. So the solar cell we get from this area, we dunk in the back corner by the um, Cabal prisoner instead of in the middle of the room. When we dunk it, we'll get that Scion prisoner to support us. We will also drop the rest of the barriers so that the Cabal from the prior room will be able to join us as well in support, and the barrier to continue will be down so we can actually continue the strike. There'll be another Thresher here and a decent amount of spawn density of enemies. The lethality of this room has been upped in comparison to what it was. We have to remember, Arms Dealer was a year 1 strike. So Destiny 2 in year 1 was definitely a slower experience. It had a different weapon loadout and everything in terms of ammo economy and everything else. And our power as Guardians was definitely lower. So upping everything just makes sense. Anyways, with that said, real quick, I'm running a Starfire Protocol Warlock that I am not using at all really effectively, but it's still working out just fine and it's fun. To that effect, I have Will of Radiance, because, yeah. Which I don't use really at all until the very end, because I'm bad at my super usage in these situations. I just am. Weapon-wise, I have Deepstone Crypt's machine gun that I always forget the name of. It is Reconstruction Dragonfly. It does not have the updated frame because it's one of the original Deepstone Crypt weapons, not the update to those weapons. But it works just fine. I really like Reconstruction, and Dragonfly is nice here. To that effect, I have the Messenger Pulse Rifle from Trials of Osiris. For anti-barrier, it's got rapid hit kill clip, and I have Vision Confluence Time Lost, which I run Wellspring Firefly for the Unstoppable. So this path is exactly the same as the original strike, only there is no enemies in this room. There used to be, there aren't anymore. I'm running double primary because I wanted to have longer range. Typically, I would be more aggressive and run Root of Nightmare's exotic shotgun to deal with unstoppables, but I just wanted to be a bit lazier and hang back, so I'm just running double primary. I always try and run the all the stun for a particular strike because I can never really rely on my allies stunning champions in match-made activities. Sometimes they do great, other times not so much. Get another Thresher, but when you have appropriate explosive weapon to deal with it, like that Guardian does, they drop really fast. So that's the power of grenade launchers in your heavy slot right there. So, in another change, we're outdoors again. And instead of progressing right back into the facility, we're actually taking the scenic route to go and rescue more of Kaido's forces. This, again, is, you could say, quote-unquote padding, but it feels organic. It feels like this makes sense and is logical for the progression of the new story of this strike. So I like it. There's a Cabal troop transport I'm shooting at. Specifically, I'm shooting at the cannon on its chin. You have to shoot at the cannon to damage that cannon. You want to break it off of this ship because it's quite a nuisance. When you hit it, you'll notice a little red X on your reticle to know you're hitting it because there's no damage numbers. But you just want to see it break off, blow off and come off like that. That is going to let you know you can actually go near that thing and not have shots rain down on you continually, because it just lingers there for this entire thing. So definitely worthwhile to deal with it. Anyways, I barely use my Rift, and I don't really use my Super except for one time at the very end here. Not because I'm trying to show off or anything. I'm genuinely not the greatest at my usage of my class ability in Supers. I'm just not, and I should get better at it. I just haven't. Anyways, now that we rescued Kaido's forces, they'll assist us in storming the gates, which is pretty cool. And the rest of this strike in terms of pathing to go through it and navigate is exactly the same as it used to be. So the changes come in with what we're dealing with, and the fact that there's a barrier up here we have to drop to continue where originally there wasn't. All this, when you sitting back and looking at it and comparing it, is to force our hand to actually play the encounters and play through the strike. Year 1 strikes especially were particularly susceptible to speeding through them and bypassing whole sections of the strike by just running through it. And while I get the appeal for that when it comes to farming for a particular weapon drop or a nightfall drop or whatever, I also think it's unfortunate because it's fun to play through these things. But, it's a double-edged sword. If you left it that way, people would be bypassing all of the hard work, and when you do it this way, people will, call it just artificial padding and forcing us to deal with everything. So, what is the better outcome? I don't know, but I'm fine with it the way it is. I even like Lake of Shadows update, which is considered to be more overtly obvious padding than this, but I still like it. And this one I think is the better of the two for sure. But in any case, this is the tank room. We still have a tank to deal with, but only one tank instead of two. Where the second tank would spawn in, instead we have a Tormentor to deal with. So bear that in mind when you're in this room. The Tormentor, though, isn't bad. Tormentors in general aren't that bad to deal with once you know how to deal with them, which isn't that hard to figure out. And we have a lot of room here, a lot of real estate to roam in. Don't feel like you have to stay up on the elevated area that you spawn them in at. You don't. You can roam this entire room. And that's definitely worthwhile to remember, because I think a lot of people get fixated on staying in that one section. In any case, what makes the Tormentor problematic in this area is the amount of ads they spawn with it, because since there's a lot of room to maneuver, how else are they going to try and rein us in, but with enemies to support the Tormentor? And I'm fine with that. So tank is down, we're progressing forward, slaying the Cabal. No Fallen, by the way, in the outside area before this one, the one where we rescued Cabal forces by that troop transport ship. In the original strike, there would have been Fallen there, so it's just purely a Cabal strike this time. Anyways, up here is the one and only switch instead of having two switches that you have to activate, and this will spawn in the Tormentor. with some Cabal turrets, so be careful with that. And in doing so, we'll also bring in a bunch of enemies that spawn in as well. There is a higher density of enemies in this strike everywhere, to be sure, which is fine because we can mow through them and feel way more powerful in the process. So here's the Tormentor. I'm going to be dealing with the turrets right away, so we don't have to worry about that breathing down our necks if we get too close. And then I make it a point to definitely keep an eye out for enemy spawning, because it's going to be a lot of war beasts and then other Cabal forces, and you just don't want to get caught and swarmed and then either have them take you down, especially in higher level content, or then kind of get somewhat trapped and have the Tormentor breathe down your neck. I should pop a super up here. I haven't. I don't. I'm bad. What can I say? But in any case, the Tormentor is already being dealt with quite swimmingly. We get a little overwhelmed here between the Tormentor and the ads spawning in, and this is why I say don't forget you have a whole area, a whole massive room to run around in. You know, gain distance from the Tormentor, kill the enemies, keep your distance, kill everything, and then you can go back up there and deal with the Tormentor. But just don't forget that. See, I'm miles away from the Tormentor here, and I can pick things off, gather my wits about me, and then go back and deal with the Tormentor. So just don't forget about that. So once you deal with the ads and the Tormentor, you move on like you normally would, and this is going to be approaching the end of the strike, right, and approaching the boss room area. So this next section is really no different than what it used to be, aside from the fact that there's no flame turrets. It's just normal turrets. But what is nice is that the hacking of this door is mercifully shorter than what it used to be in the original strike. And as a random side note, I'm thinking back on it, I think this, for some reason, I remember this as being the first Nightfall of Destiny 2. Could be mistaken, but that's how I recall it. Anyways, up here, I always like to jump up here to clear this area out and kind of flank a little bit. It gives me a decent field of view and fire on the turrets when they spawn in without being in direct line of sight necessarily. So that's just how I do it. But it's not super critical. In any case, just a lot of enemies to deal with, as is kind of usual with this strike anyway. This room is nothing more than just ad clearing the room. It's cool though. I've always liked seeing this room with seeing the different ships kind of in the different apparatus holding them in, you know, up in the air and whatnot. And you can jump on that and use it to traverse if you need to. So that's also pretty cool. But anyways, once you clear this room out, you can activate the elevator, and once you clear out the enemies that spawn in when you activate the elevator goes up. So I'll talk about the changes to the boss room, because there's really no changes here aside from more enemies that you have to deal with. In the boss room, a couple of changes. Firstly, there will be Keitel Cabal we rescue on the first dunk of the solar cell. Secondly, there's a whole lot of turrets that spawn in. Whenever Rakazan summons turrets, it's not just a few, it's a lot of them. And there's more times that turrets spawn in, so be mindful of that. There's going to be a Thresher to deal with, which is always annoying, and there's going to be a troop transport ship that we really want to blow up the cannon for, because it lingers in this area a lot. And the boss's health is health gated hard. In the original strike, while he had somewhat of a health gate, you could burn him down fast and kill him right away. Here, his health is very clearly gated, and once his health reaches that gate, he becomes immune and goes to his platform. Now, before his health gets there, he will go to his platform, but you can just cause him enough damage to just go straight to the platform and put up his shield. If he has health, when he's up there, he'll take pot shots at you until you do enough damage to make him go to his health gate. So enemies spawn in. in good amounts. There's that Cabal transport, and you're gonna see the cannon, the Chin cannon, actually fire a lot here. That's why it's definitely worthwhile to take it down. It's worth the time and the ammunition. So as you can see there. Anyways, we are going to have somebody is going to be dunking the first core very soon, and that means we're going to have Brakazan to deal with again, and we're going to have Cabal allies on our side. So again, a bit more of a hectic battlefield, but it feels organic and it feels nice in that respect. Honestly, I mean, you don't want to let Brakazan shoot you, especially in higher content, but dodging his shots and getting out of his line of sight isn't that hard here. And in fact, it's less dealing with Brakazan and more stabilizing the area by killing off the ads and everything else. It's the lethality of this room isn't really the boss itself, but everything in support of the boss, which isn't problematic. It's just a neat little side note. So we're approaching the end here. Yes, they still use the Cabal drop pod thing, so they will kill you if you're in that area, as that fire team member found out. But anyways, there's a Thresher that kills me. I could have easily popped the super at any time in dealing with it and stayed alive, but I did not. When I do pop my super, I just tank all the turret shots that are going to happen. So yeah, in the final stand of Brakazan, you could say, in his final chunk of health, he summons all the turrets basically, so watch out for that. In any case though, have you had a chance to do this strike yet? Chances are, if you've done Guardian games or whatever, you probably have seen this strike's updated form. What is your thoughts on it? I know some people really don't like hard health gating. I understand both for and against it. It is fun to be able to just outright nuke a boss, and I don't think every boss needs to be health gated, but it seems to be the route they're going. Anyways, thanks so much for sticking through this. It went a bit faster than just the Inverted Spire beta, and this is a Nightfall level. So anyways, share your thoughts, and until next time, Guardians, stay frosty.
Never mind.
You would do well to leave your hide site to better understand our enemies.
I'll do that.